Man, I'm glad I ain't a defender anymore, man. Life just is so much more chilled now. I don't have PTSD from getting Cruyff turned. Oh, you're dead, G. All you do is park the bus. Wait. That's a good idea, you know. And now look at me, swerving down the streets, living my life. Hey, yo, driver, watch out, bro. I'll be honest, he's done you there, mate. Nah, you know what? I'm not having this. It was just a Cruyff turn, G. Yo guys, it is your boy Heung here, and you are watching FTW. This is of course the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. But what's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, a portal between New York City and Dublin was installed in the streets of both cities so the public could see each other in real time. Now this is a nice idea on paper, right? Family members can even see each other through the screen. But it does require people to actually cooperate. And when the people of Dublin held up a picture of 9/11, it became immediately apparent that wasn't gonna happen. This portal is the biggest threat to world peace since I last watched Casemiro. And things got even worse when an OnlyFans model lifted her top and showed it to the other side. Unsurprisingly, it has now been shut down because it was only a matter of time before something even more disgraceful occurred.
Oh my god. You got the wrong thing up, man.
Now, it was a crucial week in a title battle here in the Premier League. A title fight between Arsenal, Manchester City, and most definitely still Liverpool. All we needed was 9 points from a last available 3.
What?
Arsenal were in the unusual predicament of needing North London rivals Tottenham to do them a favour. Mesut Ozil was willing to do Spurs a deal, saying he would never take the piss out of them again if they were able to take points off Man City here. Most Arsenal fans were undercover Spurs supporters in this situation, but it became immediately clear they might not be willing to do so. Fans would rather put family members on the black market.
I cannot stand this situation, and I'd rather sell my mum than Arsenal winning the league.
And they would be doing anything they could to sabotage their own squad here and lose against Man City, getting laser pens out as soon as Heung steps up for a penalty. The parting of the Red Seas to allow Ederson to run through from his own area and score a 17th goal of the game. Commentators and pundits alike will be getting very suspicious when Cristian Romero checks out of the entire stadium, seeing Erling Haaland run through on goal. And when Jeremy Doku starts dribbling, Pedro Porro won't be putting any effort in to help Arsenal in this situation. Vicario then ready to take a goal kick with Spurs 1-0 up here, and what is this? Jeremy from row B's got a goal for City. It's 1-1 here. If Ben Davies finds himself on a yellow card, he's getting himself sent off on purpose, and this could have been a reality as well, because Tottenham players saw Fulham flying kites the week before and decided to prepare for the might of Pep Guardiola's side in the same way. Tottenham fans were selling their own tickets, leaving a massive opening and a ton of empty seats on the website. And the thing is, if not that many people turn up, that's advantage City. That's a home game for them. And in this situation, Arsenal supporters realised it was gonna come down to them if they wanted to stop Man City here. Brazilian shot stopper Ederson's number was leaked. He received some very interesting messages that he shared over on Instagram, the top one being the biggest pause you've ever seen. And honestly, he'd probably have time to call them back whilst Erling Haaland's making it 14-0 to City. Fans were cancelling hotel rooms for City coaches and blasting fireworks out outside the club's hotel. However, the problem was they did it a day early. Yeah, Man City hadn't actually travelled down to London when Arsenal supporters decided to do this, and the Gunners managed to bottle fireworks as well. You can't be doing this with Alexander Zinchenko around, by the way. The poor guy thought those explosions were something very different, and now some poor random old woman at Travelodge is scarred for life. The game kicks off though, and the atmosphere is bizarre. Man City fans want Man City to win, and Tottenham fans want Man City to win. Supporters were even telling Ange Postecoglou to throw the game, to which he had an altercation with a supporter over it. But at half-time, surprisingly, the game was still 0-0, and Arsenal still had faith, only for that to be completely undone by Erling Haaland.
There might not be any hope for me again, sort of kind of thing.
But there was an extremely scary moment next, though, as Ederson was knocked unconscious after a collision with Cristian Romero. He was watching the rest of the game in 480p after this. The physios had no sense of urgency. They were chilling whilst he went into standby mode. And the fact that he was actually allowed to play on after this for a couple of minutes, although he was substituted eventually, is ridiculous. We need strict stricter concussion rules, I think. Glad he's, you know, relatively speaking okay, but he has fractured his eye socket. Get well soon, Edison, mate. And that brought Stefan Ortega onto the pitch. And in future, don't ask Arsenal fans what happened next, because Heung-min Son found himself running through on goal. Pep Guardiola couldn't believe what he was about to see, and he looked like he was ready to get involved in cool runnings.
My kids go to the school with the different black people from normal people.
But as Heung-min Son was about to take his strike, he had a vision of Arsenal winning the league. Yeah, now you know what? Bun that, mate. A one-on-one save by Ortega denied Tottenham, and a late Manchester City penalty secured them the 3 points they needed. Vicario was trying to hide his happiness seeing the ball drift into the back of his net again. I'm a bit suspicious that Expressions wasn't disappointed with a goal going in at all.
Oh, it's a penalty! No! Oh, why? Oh, no! Oh, fiddlesticks!
The Gunners supporters, though, meanwhile, they'll be taking Heung-min Son back to military training, and claims that Spurs would try their hardest to get a result here were lies.
My mind is made up, he's a liar. And my friends say likewise.
The thing is, Tottenham played Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal. They had an actual chance to change the entire direction of the title race for everyone. And then lost all 3 games. They bottled the title race, they're not even in. But surely this result means Manchester City win the Premier League now? What do you think? Let me know down in the comments section. Arsenal did what they needed to do with a 1-0 win over Manchester United. Leandro Trossard scored the all-important winner here, but in the build-up to the game, and Gunners fans were nervous as hell. This game could define their entire season. Players, though, they did not give a shit. They were out doing up Call of Duty training. Not a stress in the world in this squad, apart from Aaron Ramsdale, who was pretty heated getting eliminated early on. But a goal here was an absolute car crash if you are a United fan. Casemiro was so lazy in getting back to his defensive line that he played everybody onside. His highlights for this one were an absolute disaster, and Jamie Carragher's quotes are starting to look very real indeed. Anthony was left furious, coming on as a left back in this game once again, with Erik ten Hag seemingly not trusting him as a winger at this point. And the face that he made when coming on, I don't know if it was supposed to be intimidating or if it was trying to be somebody from the Avengers, but at this point United fans will be hoping that Thanos snaps him out of there. But to be honest with you, Manchester United have got even bigger problems than that, because Old Trafford is leaking everywhere. A massive amount of water was falling from the rafters. Meanwhile, the place basically flooded all the way down to the pitch. The thing is hanging on for dear life and needs serious renovation, and poor depressed United fans were wondering why it always rained on them.
Please help me, I am under the water.
This is the theatre of streams, mate. Cristiano Ronaldo is at least gassed, seeing he can get an insurance claim from water mold and asbestos poisoning during his time there.
I will love it, and I think I deserve.
And Bruno Fernandes will be looking to join him in Saudi Arabia when he too realises that all the facilities are a disaster.
Yes! Knew I could do it! Get me out of this shitter!
Douglas Luiz, meanwhile, took to Twitter to ask how Rio Ferdinand was doing after their chances of Europe seemed to fade away. United did at least win 3-2 over Newcastle to go level with the Magpies in the table. Before kickoff, though, and Marcus Rashford almost clashed with a United fan who was giving him stick during the warm-up. He had to be pulled away by the likes of Christian Eriksen. Meanwhile, Newcastle supporters arrived to the game in flippers, just in case the place flooded again. I mean, honestly, it could very well happen at this point. Amad Diallo finally got what I think is his first Premier League start of the season. It's taken all the way till now. The guy's genuinely class, by the way. I don't know what he's done to Erik ten Hag, but I'm really questioning why he's not getting in this side above Anthony all the time. A raise of Newcastle left back Dan Burns' hand reminded everyone that he is in fact missing a finger, which is a crazy situation. I'm not even gonna lie, putting up a high 4 is absolutely mad. The guy was showing the scoreline at the time with one hand. That's a skill move, bro. And Newcastle can feel pretty hard done by, to be honest with you, that Anthony Gordon didn't receive a penalty after a challenge from Sofian Amrabat that was seen by VAR and waved away, despite this clear patch of sock missing from Anthony Gordon's Achilles. Either way, Sofian was celebrating, not completely ruining a Manchester United football match for once at full time. And speaking of which, after the game, Erik ten Hag's reception wasn't quite as positive. Yeah, look, I'd be surprised if he keeps his job. I think there's been lots of sort of determining factors with United this season. They have been very unlucky with injuries as well, but he needs to have done more, and I would genuinely be surprised if he's in the job to the start of next season. Now though, on to Liverpool, and
Fuck off! off!
You know what? I never even cared about this season anyway. I don't know what you lot are even talking about at this point. They were absolutely pristinely polished. Yeah, Liverpool were, we were 3-1 up when we drew 3-3. 10 minutes to go, lads. All you've got to do is hold on to a 2-goal lead, for fuck's sake. Things were going fine. Diego Carlos had missed a 0.99 XG opportunity for Villa. Jarell Kwanzaa had even scored a goal, for fuck's sake, before Joe Gomez. A Joe Gomez regen scored before Joe Gomez did. Leon Bailey was getting frustrated with his teammates.
6 bomber ass clot, pussy bomber blood clot.
And then suddenly an 80s hit of Duran. It was a dagger through the hearts, if there was a heart even in there. We're flatlining already. This season needs to end. Gary Neville was absolutely delighted seeing that equaliser go in, though. And shout out to John Duran, man. He's finally getting a bit of an opportunity second half of the season. He's the ultimate chaos baller, but clearly more influential than ours, as Darwin Núñez was getting absolutely rinsed on Sky Sports online commentary for being offside again. But with this result and Tottenham losing against Manchester City, Aston Villa get Champions League football. They've confirmed a place in the top 4. Shout out to Unai Emery, shout out to the likes of Ollie Watkins, Leon Bailey, Moussa Diaby, Ezri Konsa, Emi Martinez, the whole team, because they have done a ridiculous job this campaign. They were celebrating at full time after the Man City Spurs game, apart from Ollie Watkins. I'm wondering why though now. Ah, yeah, okay, right, that makes a bit more sense.
Let's be real, the league's gone, blood.
And it now means that Unai Emery has guided 3 different Villas to the Champions League. Sevilla, Villarreal, and now Aston Villa. Worth remembering, these lot were 17th under Steven Gerrard with a relatively similar team. And it's no surprise, really. I don't think he would have been able to connect with John Duran during shooting drills.
What's it? You want it? Tell me then.
Even the Sky was paying tribute to them in the colour that it went in the UK this week. But honestly, we've got to get past the woke mob. A disgusting tribute to the leftist agenda. Purple on our England flag and now in the Sky. I am absolutely outraged. Now, we'll come back to the Premier League later on, but the big news in the world of football this week is that Kylian Mbappe is officially leaving PSG. We knew this anyway because Fabrizio Romano found out about it like 11 months ago. And finally, the saga is actually done. He will finally, after years of waiting, almost a decade, be signing for Real Madrid. Unless you believe I Show Speed, who reckons he's got inside information that shows the French Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle isn't heading over to the Bernabeu at all.
Hey, I didn't hear it from me. I'm sorry. But what I would say, he is not going to Madrid. I'm sorry. That's all I can say. This is not coming out my ass, bro.
Do I trust Speed more than Fabrizio Romano? Maybe, to be honest with you. Will Speed be barking in negotiations? Probably. Meanwhile, for Kylian, either way, he won't be having a fun time reading through his PSG message requests.
Hope you get hit by a bus today, you fucking wanker.
Real Madrid are going to win a 15th title and then announce him. This is just like, you've completed football, can you give the rest of us a chance? Now, to be fair, he scored in his final home game for the club against Toulouse and celebrated with Keylor Navas, who it was also his last game at the Parc des Princes, before PSG decided to lose 3-1, letting him down one final time. The club snubbed a decision to give him an official farewell, but he did get a tifo from the Ultras. Kylian is most likely going to Real Madrid, let's be honest. And speaking of Los Blancos, they had their La Liga Champions ceremony this week. The 36th time they've won the domestic title. They had an open-top bus tour and a parade around the city, though Lucas Vazquez took the opportunity to get some digs in at Madrid's mayor, asking him whether he wanted to change club finally. Turns out that the mayor of the city is in fact an Atletico fan and probably didn't enjoy the ceremony too much. Antonio Rudiger was his usual self on the mic.
A por la 15. Muchas gracias. Ciao, ciao.
Carlo Ancelotti was getting his dance moves out during the parade. He's just like a cute granddad that had like a barbecue. The rest of the squad were also bringing out the dance moves and celebrations here. It was great to see. Meanwhile, Jude Bellingham's Spanish speech wasn't quite as polished as the rest of his teammates.
Buenos noches, días. 7, 8. ¿Dónde estaba?
Now, back in the Premier League, and it's been a good week for Chelsea. 2 wins see them somehow get into the European spots after the season that they've had. It also saw a return for Reece James against Forest and an assist to help them win the match 3-2. At full time, though, and after 10 minutes of action, he was left confused in the post-match interview.
What about the young man alongside you in the part he's played? Came to Chelsea. Nobody really knew, but what has he shown to people?
Who?
The young...
To be fair, he's been out for so long he might well have forgotten who Cole Palmer even is. That made Reece James' second win in 2 years. It's in second win that he's been involved in. I mean, saying that Chelsea haven't won many more than that even without him, but he said that he'd be seeing Blues fans at 5:30 and knowing him, probably blue lights by 6:30. Things weren't as great for him individually though versus Brighton, because whilst Chelsea won 2-1, he got himself sent off with a straight red card with 2 minutes to go. He's now out for 5 games again.
The football's left him.
Elsewhere though, Christopher Nkunku was bringing out his traditional balloon celebration, and once the helium got into his lungs, his voice was a little bit questionable. Now, Wolves have taken the unusual step of writing to the Premier League about scrapping VAR. Yeah, they made an official appeal to the Premier League board to basically consider holding an EGM where all Premier League clubs are invited and can decide whether to continue using VAR given the problems that the system has had over the last couple of years, how many PGMOL apologies there have been, and generally speaking, the standard of the decisions and the officiating during the course of this season. Now, I think the final part of that really is the crucial part, because the thing is, it's the people using it, really. It's the standard of refereeing. In my eyes, not the actual technology. I think the technology can probably be improved too when it comes to offsides. As I said, we're getting semi-automated offsides next season anyway. But I think grey area rules and just general incompetent refs ruin the chance that VAR even has. Giving refs a second opportunity to look at a decision and get it right is not a bad thing. But when they are going to then make an even worse decision the second time around, that's when it becomes a problem. And again, there's too many grey areas, like being able to rescind a second yellow card that's not deserved for a red is stupid. If a decision is wrong and genuinely affects either a player being on the pitch or a goal being scored, then it should be allowed to be overturned no matter what the small print is. In my eyes, the way to solve it, ban bald referees. You've got to prove at the Premier League interview that you can grow hair. Down at the bottom of the table though, and it has been a sad week for Luton Town, who were officially relegated alongside Burnley back to the Championship. Now, emotions were high at Luton after they were defeated by West Ham. It was a valiant effort, honestly, from them across the course of the season. I was genuinely really impressed. And the fact they finished the best out of the promoted teams and actually pushed until almost the final day, to me, they can hold their heads up high as they return to the Championship. Vincent Kompany goes down with Burnley. Turns out he needed some players who can run. And Burnley fans, Burnley supporters will be reminiscing back to the glory days of 4-4-2 Brexit football.
The football Company's got us playing has no place at Turf Moor. Inverted fullbacks, wingers cutting in and smashing in shots from everywhere, goalkeepers playing it calm out the back instead of twatting it up pitch.
Now, to be fair, again, I've been impressed with Burnley. I like the fact that they've, tried to play their own football. It was bold. It hasn't really worked. There's definitely things they can learn and take from it, though. Unlike Sheffield United, who broke the record for conceding 101 goals in a season. It really does make you question, though, is the gap between the Premier League and the Championship the biggest that it's ever been? Now, for Manchester City's youth side, they were celebrating victory this week. And I can't lie, I need someone to get them a slot on Rinse FM.
You know the attack is bending. Buy it, copy it, tell me the shot, and get no spending. You never beat that match up when I'm having a big hand of cherry. Too much Cameron, too much Cameron.
Pep Guardiola is going to bring new levels of racismo to the table for this situation. He'll be scared for his life when he line bikes past the youth dressing room on the way home.
Why are you running off, bro? Let me get a picture, bro.
And had interesting comments when asked about what he thought of the squad.
I remember looking around and I'm like, Allahumma barak, like, I've never seen so much black people in one area.
Meanwhile, Palace's under-21s beat PSVs this week in a European competition. And I've just got to say, I'm a big fan of Crystal Palace Ultras supporting a team like this. I know that the whole stand isn't full, but there's flags, there's banners, there's all sorts of celebrations here going on for an under-21s match. That is good to see. Now, over in Germany, and Bayern Munich are continuing to be rejected by everyone. They've been turned down by Xabi Alonso, Julian Nagelsmann, Ralf Rangnick, and even now Crystal Palace manager Oliver Glasner. They're now apparently discussing whether to keep Thomas Tuchel instead, despite announcing that he wouldn't be carrying on earlier on in the season. Can't help but feel like there'll be some friction between Tuchel when he shakes the hands of the board after the contract renewal. All these bosses have walked in, seen Harry Kane, and known they're not winning the trophy. They're not doing it. They were up by Leverkusen, and they reached 50 games unbeaten in a row with a resounding 5-0 win over Bochum. 5-0 for 5-0. I mean, these guys are just ridiculous. Honestly, I so hope they manage to do the invincible treble. I think they've got 3 games now, like a final league match, obviously the final of the Europa League and the final of the DFB Pokal, before they do something completely unprecedented and something that's going to change the actual like history books of football. But truth be told, they were probably trying to concede 5 goals in this game so they could win it late in the 98th minute. Jeremy Frimpong will be disappointed realizing he's not getting a dopamine hit in the 43rd minute of injury time. And this video of the Bundesliga trophy being engraved for Bayer Leverkusen for the first time is just, I mean, it's so satisfying as well. Again, shout out to Bayer Leverkusen, what an achievement for them. But Leverkusen's under 17s got Leverkusen because despite scoring late to take the lead against Borussia Dortmund, they then conceded themselves in the 97th minute, only to concede again against Dortmund's under 17s in the last minute of extra time. Xabi Alonso, if I was you, I've got to get them out of there. They've not got that Patrick Schick gene. There's news that Robert Lewandowski could retrospectively be awarded the 2020 Ballon d'Or after his achievements and not receiving it because of COVID, which I never understood. Either way, these lot have genuinely waited for Kane to arrive at Bayern just to give, like, the best achievement possible to the Don that came before him. Honestly speaking, I hope they don't, because I am not ready for the TikTok that we're gonna get from Robert Lewandowski getting a Ballon d'Or.
This guy stinks!
I mentioned Borussia Dortmund a moment ago. Their senior side wasn't doing quite as well over the weekend, as Mainz went 3-0 up against them inside 25 minutes. Dortmund, please, you do realise you got Real Madrid in a couple of weeks in the Champions League final, so if you could just kind of fix up a little bit before that one. Meanwhile, at Stuttgart, and after scoring, Dennis Undav celebrated by drinking a beer thrown from the crowd, only to realise that it wasn't to his taste. Yeah, look, I don't know why they threw a Foster's either, to be honest with you. It wouldn't be my choice regardless. In Italy, an AC Milan celebrated Mother's Day by putting the maiden names of all the players on the back of their shirts. Jack Harlow's got some explaining to do given Christian Pulisic's shirt.
To worry.
Meanwhile, Rafa Leao had Conceição on the back of his shirt, which is even more interesting because Sergio Conceição has been linked with the Milan job. Current manager Pioli was asked about it and at least brought some comedy to the situation. Meanwhile, Kyle Walker Jr. has got a serious realization if he ever plays for Milan in Serie A, realizing he's got to put 6 names on the back of his shirt for Mother's Day. Meanwhile, Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting has been linked with a move to Serie A champions Inter. This agent he's got is actually, he's a double agent. Like, he's a spy, and he's got dirt on every single club in Europe. To be fair though, Eric, a prestigious striker and goal scorer. He can become the top scorer for Bayern before he leaves. All he needs on the final game week is 551 goals. There's joy at Atalanta, who find themselves in the Europa League final to take on Bayer Leverkusen, and one supporter named his newborn child Ademola Lookman as a testament to the Englishman's achievements. Fiorentina were lining up against Monza this week, and one young mascot took the opportunity to fire some shots at Juventus. The world of punditry does not come without its dangers. Just ask Alessandro Costa Curta in Italy. Meanwhile, well done to Como, managed by Cesc Fabregas, for their promotion from Serie B to the top flight in Italian football. Cesc has done a sensational job with them. Como themselves have risen through the leagues recently, and he gave a rousing speech before the summer for their players.
Prendete forza perché l'anno, questo non è niente, questo è solo l'escaldamento. L'anno prossimo più esigenza, più lavoro, e come te ho promesso che te pagava lo che vuoi vuole, se volete andare in divisa,
Shout out to a striker named, well, who's nicknamed Gabrigol, who's been with the side all the way from Serie D and has now been promoted to Serie A. He was left emotional on the bench at full time. In France, it's been a great season for Moloko, who qualified for the Champions League for the first time in over 5 years, thanks to manager Adolf Herter.
What's wrong with y'all niggas? What's wrong with you?
His parents created the most problematic birth certificate of all time. He's going to be ready for a war in the Champions League next season, though truthfully, the last thing you want is him invading Europe, let's be real. And joining Monaco in the Champions League next season are Brest. Genuinely, I don't even have a joke about this one. That is one of the best underdog stories of the year. How they have ended up finishing the Champions League spots is beyond me. Meanwhile, Zinedine Zidane was showing that he has not lost a single ounce of skill whilst playing in a testimonial charity match for Bordeaux. This is absolutely disgusting stuff from Zizou at the age of 51. Genuinely, I want someone to sign him properly. One man who's bringing magic to Spanish football right now, though, is Isco. Again, this is quite literally just a congratulations I don't even have a joke really. But he seriously revived his career after it stagnated at Real Madrid. He won 19 Man of the Match awards out of 28 for Real Betis, and I think has been crowned player of the season in La Liga. There's wholesome stuff down in the third tier as Lucas Perez, who joined his hometown club Deportivo La Coruña last season. They are of course previous La Liga champions, but were languishing down in the third tier. He paid half of his own transfer fee to go there, and with a free kick this week managed to help them gain promotion to the second tier. Another side that used to be in the top flight until recently and is now languishing are Malaga, but that didn't stop their goalkeeper from getting himself on the end of a corner late on in the game to equalise down in the Spanish lower tiers. Now there is time for your goals of the week. We're back up to 3, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, we head over to the Copa Libertadores and Palmeiras. Minus some interesting goalkeeping, this long-range free kick is absolutely ridiculous. The movement must have been insane, even though the goalkeeper could have done a little bit better. The goalkeeper couldn't have done much better, though, up in Scotland here, where Todd Cantwell has scored a crazy goal from out wide. Now, I know what you're thinking. That might have been a cross. But with the pace and whip that he's hit that from, I don't think that is. I think he's done that on purpose. But finally, we have got one of the most technically gifted long-range goals I think I've seen on this show. Take about Fariborz Garami in Iran, who has, I don't even know the technique that he's applied here. The best way I can describe it is that he's pumped it into the back of the net from so far out it's in a different postcode. How he's got that much pace on the ball is a joke. Genuinely unbelievable stuff. Take a bow. Hello all and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
Turhan! Pelo amor de Deus, meu filho! Olha que golaço, cara! Aquela tapinha no... Very interesting!
And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now in England, a man by the name Philip Lahm has been arrested for his part to play in selling drugs. Honestly, it's crazy. This man went from not committing a foul for a year to committing a federal offence a few years after retiring. How the mighty have fallen. Celtic are the champions of the Scottish Premier League once again. It's the third time in a row for them, and Celtic centre-back Cameron Carter-Vickers was enjoying himself afterwards. Speaking of Rangers, and John Lundstrom might have put in the absolute worst performance that anyone has ever put in. A 3.8, a red card, and an own goal. Basically a triple threat. And on the team of Rangers again, their away kit has potentially been leaked for next season. It's fitting that it's in the pattern of Braille because it's probably been designed by someone that's blind. This looks like Tottenham's available tickets from earlier on. Why have they made a can of iron brew? It's a shocker. Over in MLS, and Philadelphia Union's game versus New York City had to be paused because a raccoon ran onto the pitch. This little guy was running rings round the stewards, they couldn't get to him, and the stats honestly show why he is the GOAT. Well, he's not a goat, he's a raccoon, but he's done a good job, basically, to stay on the pitch that long. Speaking of goats, and one man bought his Lionel Messi costume to an Inter Miami game. Over in Albania, after winning the Albanian Cup, one goalkeeper decided he was going to take the opportunity to mark this event even further by proposing to his girlfriend. Love is in the air, and so is a lot of confetti, but honestly, a great time to do it. I hope they're very happy together. Not quite the same level of beauty going on in Saudi Arabia, though, with this outstanding long-range goal into his own net. That's the sort of minor problem there, really. But we've had raccoons on the pitch in America. Slightly different type of invader going on in Uruguay, as a sheep managed to find itself in the stands during warm-up before kickoff. That sheep and Marcelo have got pretty similar trims, to be honest with you. One thing that sheep cannot do is this absolutely insane first touch from the Brazilian left-back. I mean, this guy's ball control is an absolute joke. In Turkey, and one player, Fulgaz Tepe, decided to walk out for a trophy ceremony with the John Cena music. Yeah, but I can see him, though. That's the problem. Meanwhile, one linesman took matters into his own hands to try and stop a corner from being taken. Referee! We're not going to get a decision from me. I am one of the referees. Now, though, it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, it has been an absolute age since the last Romania this week. And it's just because not that much has been going on in the country, truthfully. I haven't forgotten about the segment. I'm always disappointed when it doesn't feature. But to make it up to you guys, we've got two special events from the country this time. First of all, a big shout out to Corvinal, a second tier side that have won the Romanian Cup. They did it on penalties, an unbelievable run to the final in the first place. But as a second tier team to win your country's domestic cup, that is a ridiculous achievement, so well done to them. But saving the best till last, we've got the story of Edgar EA, who is being accused of getting his twin to play for him in his place for Dinamo Bucharest. Yep, that is right, a DNA test is being requested because people are genuinely concerned that Edgar has sacked off playing for his club and has subbed in his twin to do the job instead. Look, the guy used to play for Barcelona. He's used to fraud. Closer to home, and Peter Odemwingi's traded in, turning up at random clubs on deadline day for becoming a sensational guitarist. At Crew, and their goalkeeper Strajek threw the opposition's bottle into the crowd. A goalkeeper's bottle that had like all the penalty takers and where they would put it like listed on the bottle. He just threw it into the crowd. A really good way to get rid of someone's homework. Over in America, and San Diego FC are apparently launching an audacious bid to try and sign Kevin De Bruyne. And are we sure that's not our good friend of the channel, Kevin De Brownie? Or in Argentina, and San Lorenzo had the unusual situation of playing an away game with their home game in the background. Yeah, they faced off against the newly promoted side that have risen through the leagues. I've done a short about them on a TikTok before, and they're so close in proximity that you can actually see it in the background. In Argentina again, and at River Plate, yeah, I don't know what science they got over there, but they found out how to clone people. That's actually crazy. In the Philippines now, we've got a goalkeeper failing to control the ball, thinking that it's gone out of play and giving up, only to be punished in the most outrageous way.
Play. It's a corner kick. No! It's play on! Goal! Number 2 for Manila Tigre!
In Qatar now, and we've got what looks to be actual match fixing. This is genuinely one of the worst own goals I have ever seen. But the own goals keep coming because in Poland and at Lech Poznan, if you're gonna score through your own net, you might as well power it in there with all your might. Do you know what I'm saying? In Brazil and at Cruzeiro, we've got one defender who's so happy with his teammate scoring, he's decided to bring out some random gymnastics in the background. Meanwhile, in Sweden, and we have got one of the most impressive solo runs that you are gonna see. Skipping past challenge after challenge, being unselfish and playing it to his left-hand side. And when the ball's squared again, all he's got to do is put the ball in the back of the net to finish off all his hard work.
Som missar! Han missar därifrån!
Special beyond special!
Now that it's time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. It's the segment of the show where I bring to the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And this time around, we're heading down to the lower divisions of Norwegian football. Norway has really been providing us some sensational clips recently, and this one is no different. Now, even in Sunday League football, you know, there are icons of the beautiful game that act as real inspirations to players up and down the country. The likes of maybe a David Beckham, a Cristiano Ronaldo, an English clamping legend like Lee Cattermole. But in some situations, maybe it's more like a Diego Maradona, as Norway's got its very own hand of God here. On to the weird stuff though now. Now there's an interesting suspension that's been handed out over in Germany. Too many yellow cards and you'll get yourself a suspension for a season, a red card, and obviously you might see yourself out for 1 to 3 games. But it's usually players, maybe at weirdest coaching staff. How about a bus driver being suspended? Fuck's sake, I knew I shouldn't have turned round and ran him over. Well, that's what's happened to Karlsruhe team bus driver Thomas Lashuk, who got red carded over the weekend in a game against Hanover because he kicked the ball back onto the pitch and it hit an assistant referee. So he was shown a red card and he is now suspended. I don't know whether that means from driving duties or whether that's just from the pitch itself. Or in Zimbabwe, and we've got the ridiculous story of a football club owner who's also made himself the captain and club striker. Meet Innocent Benza, who plays for and owns Herentals FC. As I mentioned, he doubles as the captain despite being 52 years of age. You may have heard about him before, but the reason he's come to fruition again this week is A, because he's a little bit older now, but B, because it's pretty evident that the footballing ability that he's got is not the reason why he's in the team. It's one of the worst corners I've ever seen in my life. But finally, we have one of the most ridiculous stories I think I've ever heard. And it comes from the Sweeper podcast. Shout out to them. You can check out their link down in the description below, but this story is too mental for me to not include. And it comes from the 4th division of Brazilian football, where a manager was so frustrated and so annoyed with the criticism he was receiving from the board or from the owner of the club that he decided to resign from a game at half time. Now with that in mind, obviously somebody needed to come in and finish the job, right, for the second half. With the side 1-0 down, the president made the split decision to hire the club doctor for the second half. Unorthodox, but if anyone gets injured, I guess you're sorted. However, unbelievably, right, their club doctor managed to spur on a comeback, bringing on a substitute who would score a brace to see them win 2-1. Hire this man immediately. Wow, why are you a physio, bruv? That though is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.